Hey, we are your hosts, Nick Smith.
And Kylie Jo Smith. And today is a bonus episode on friendship.
Friendship part 2.
You should really get the P in that. Friendship.
Yes, you need to make sure you hit the right plosive at the end of that word. Friendship. If you're wondering where part 1 was, that means you're not part of our inner circle.
Oh.
So you missed part 1.
If you feel left out, it's because you are.
You can get part 1 if you'd like. Just join our inner circle and then you'll get it. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, and this is just kind of an extenuation. Extenuation?
That's not a thing.
Extension?
Extenuation.
It's an extenuating circumstance from our imposter syndrome episode, which if you have not watched that, you need to go and check that out. We will put the link to it in the notes here. So today we have very special guests with us.
Yes.
Do you want to introduce them?
I want them to introduce themselves. Introduce yourself, y'alls. You guys in?
Yes, we're in.
There we
Yay.
go. All right, tell everybody who you are and how awesome you guys are. Let's do this.
Yes, I'm Tiffany Bird Harrison.
And I'm Joseph Harrison. I thought you were going to say more.
Oh, no. That was all who I was. Yes, I am Tiffany Bird Harrison, which is Joseph Harrison's wife. And I'm very excited to be here on the Nick Smith podcast.
More than that. She's far more.
Yeah.
Am I?
Oh,
yeah? Okay.
Yes. So tell everyone, first off, if you guys have heard us reference Tiffany, if you've not seen her YouTube page, you need to go there. You need to find her. She's got some awesome content. And how else can people get a hold of you? What if they want to book you to show up and teach them about accountability? How do they?
That would be amazing. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. So in 2021, I am going into content creation coaching and accountability coaching. And so you can totally contact me. You can hit me up on Instagram at Tiffany Bird Harrison.
Mm-hmm. And BYRD.
Yeah, BYRD as in dog. And I'm super excited about it, actually. It's like going to be pretty legit.
Yeah.
Right, Joe?
Yeah.
See, that was all Holy Spirit stuff because I didn't even know that. So that's awesome. And then Joe, also known as Jay Etienne, puts down the beats. This man is a producer extraordinaire. So if you're looking for music, if you're looking for voiceover work, first say something for him, Joe. They need to hear your voice.
Stay up close on the
Come
mic.
on, say something. Hey, how about say you're listening to the Nick Smith podcast, and then I can edit that and make it a snippet. Go.
You're listening to the Nick Smith podcast.
Oh,
yes.
just smooth. I feel like I need
That's it.
you to say like Quiet Storm or something after that. Like you need to do one of those
jazz.
Yes.
6.3.
That's right. So
or like a chill album where it's like, I need you to take a deep breath.
that's right. Focus,
Yes.
relax. Anything you need, holler at Joe and Tiffany.
Yes.
They got you covered. But Joe and Tiffany are good friends of ours, and we've developed a friendship through COVID, through the pandemic, through distance.
Yeah.
And so we asked if they would join us on the podcast today because, we talked about friendship a little bit last week, but we needed more than just us because
We can talk about how
good
do
of
things.
friends we are.
We can tell that to
We're
people.
great friends.
But then it's kind of like, I don't know, unless we actually have some proof here. We don't know how reliable our advice is.
Exactly.
So we wanted to bring some people in, not just to give credence to us, but also to say, like, actually, we have friends that we've made that with Tiffany, I've only ever met you in person one time.
Mhm.
Yes.
And
So
Joe,
true, so
like,
true.
I've never actually met you in person.
That's right.
And so it's been amazing to see how we have a friendship that's developed in spite of all the things that have told us that, yeah, you're not going to have new things. You're going to actually probably lose touch with your old friends because of COVID and because of all these things. And we're like, actually, our friendship game.
We've stepped it up. We've stepped it up. So we wanted to let's just jump in because so those of you who are not part of our inner circle, you're going to get some good stuff out of this, but you're not going to get the full thing. So we're going to jump in with some good stuff to start us out with so that everyone can hear. And then after that, we're going to shoo y'all away. And then we're going to have private conversation, which is the inner circle. So first question, how do you maintain friendships in the midst of social distancing, in the midst of actual distancing, because we're multiple states away? What have you found that works, doesn't work? I don't know, anything you want to speak into that subject.
You want to go first?
Yeah, let's talk about what doesn't work first, because I think that's the easier one, right? What has not worked in the social distancing friendship game is just following people on social media and thinking that that means friendship. I have definitely fallen into this rut where I'm like, well, I know what's going on with you, right? You're having a couple kids and you got some money things that you bought a house recently and you know everything about a person, but you don't know them. Yeah. And so I've actually found that I've really had to reevaluate my friendships, especially the ones that I know more so as like acquaintances, if you will. I've had to really decide, okay, how deep of friends are we? Because this pandemic has happened and a lot of people are experiencing a really hard time with it. What kind of friends are we? Are we the water cooler friends with no actual physical water cooler? Or are we the types of friends that reach out beyond social media? So I would say the first thing that I've noticed is that social media friendships are not legitimate friendships unless you know these people off of the internet. That's huge. You have to get beyond the DMs and the messenger. Even messenger chat is not really a genuine friendship because you can't hear a person's voice. You can't hear how they're dealing with what's going on. So that's been something that has not worked for me. And I'm glad I found it out early and didn't assume that all of my social media friends, you know, you have hundreds of social media friends probably, they're not your real friends until you can get beyond the Facebook and the Instagram and that kind of thing. What about for you?
I mean, for me, it breaks down to who is actually checking in on you. Right?
That's good.
Not like the surface level. Oh, how you doing? How you been? But like, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
How you guys moved recently? How's that going? Like, how are you guys dealing with that? How are you navigating through that? And I remember like those are some of the earliest questions I can remember you guys asking us.
Yeah, definitely.
You didn't know us from Adam, you know, but. You were like, "How you guys doing?" I'm like, "I don't know.
And I think
you know,
and the fact that you have to be like vulnerable. I mean, vulnerability is kind of lost on social media, right?
So true.
I think there's a way that so to go into what works and what has helped us to maintain friendships is being open with people who say, "Hey, I'm your friend. How are you doing? How are you feeling?" And being honest with them. It's not just like, "Hey, girl, I'm doing fine. I'm fine. Everything's going pretty well." It's like, no, I'm actually struggling. I actually need you to pray for me if you could. I'm actually need you. So that's been, I found a lot of freedom in friendship with that vulnerability. And, you know, truth be told, you cannot be vulnerable with everybody.
Yes.
You can't, I just said truth be told. You can't
that's
be
her show,
vulnerable
y'all. Truth be told, check it out.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. No, that's good. You can't, that's very important. You can't be vulnerable with everybody. Yeah. So that leads me to my next thought of deep. You had said having those deep as opposed to superficial relationships. Is there a way that you choose how deep you get in a friendship, or do you just jump straight in, just both feet? How do you know if this is someone I can be vulnerable with? Like what do you guys see that?
Yeah, please
go ahead, jump.
For me, you can't just assume that you can dive fully into the water. Like you got to dip your toes in first and see where that person, or for us or for you guys, a couple, see what that couple actually is.
Yeah.
Because we met with another couple or a couple other couples, but one in particular where they were very lovely, very kind, but they weren't necessarily in the position to like take us on, so to speak, or to kind of like really do life with us. Yeah, I'm not gonna say names, but I hope you know.
I do. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think that when you talk about depth, like that's a really good point, right? I don't think you can know how deep you can go with people until you try. So I will say that Joe's better at this. He's a lot more cautious in regards to making sure like, hey, let me see where they're at. I have done it the opposite way, like, where I just dove straight in and then I'm like, oh, maybe that wasn't the wisest decision to make. So I have learned through that diving in, and I don't know that you can develop that sensibility until you dive all the way in. So I would definitely caution people from not trying at all, like from being guarded. And me and Kylie Joe have talked about this idea of, you can guard yourself and protect yourself so much from people hurting you or offending you or not doing friendship the same way that you do. And then you miss the opportunity to really see if they are willing to go the depth with you. So I actually, me and Joe balance each other in this way, because he kind of holds off and I will jump straight in. And somewhere in the middle, there is balance in regards to the depth of someone. So I think it's a trial and error. I don't think you can make that judgment with no experience in that way. But once you have, I know, right? Once you have some experiences, all of a sudden you start to develop a sensitivity for, okay, I can see that made them uncomfortable. Let me ask them if maybe sharing more of my life was a little too far. Let me ask them where they're at. Because maybe it's not even a matter of they're uncomfortable with you. They just never had anybody open up in that way. And I've even discovered that some people don't know deep friendships because all they've had is superficial relationships.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that has been is eye-opening for this, especially during this pandemic. It's been really eye-opening to see that.
Yeah. Well, and you talked about like not treating those Facebook friends or connections as deep friendships. I think Facebook gives us that impression of vulnerability because like I can share it all. I can put it all out there.
Yeah.
I can type out how I'm feeling. I'm depressed today. And so like I'm feeling vulnerable. I'm wanting to put myself out there, but then if no one reciprocates, it's not really vulnerability because I'm not truly sharing it with a person. I'm not bearing my soul with a person. And I know I've gotten in that trap as well of like, well, I've done both. I've definitely been I'm guarded. I'm like, okay, wait, let's see. Let's see though. You say that now, but we'll see. We'll see in a couple days. But I've also done the thing where it's like, totally, yes, we're friends. And because we have a few things in common and it's like, well, hold on now. Those are the only things you have in common. Yeah. So now you're building a friendship off of 2 points of affinity that if we're honest, is not going to last. And like, I've seen friendships fail where it's like, yeah, maybe we could have just been water cooler friends.
Yeah.
You know, grocery store acquaintances.
Instagram chums.
We should get t-shirts.
Instagram chums. IG chums.
Yeah.
Perfect. We'll sell those on the website. We'll make it happen.
That's right.
Instagram chum shirts.
But I also think, Kylie Jo, you brought up a great point about letting so often we don't want to be disappointed and we're trying to fend off and stave off disappointment as long as possible. But if you are going to enter into a relationship, disappointment is a part of the pie.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because there's pies.
Oh,
because it's Thanksgiving,
it's a part
y'all.
of the sweet potato pie.
Thanksgiving week. I'm not just saying, I mean, it truly, like you cannot say, I want to be in deeper relationships or have, you know, a connection with someone truly and not know that disappointment will be in there.
Yeah.
Friendship means that you may be disappointed, but it doesn't mean you have to stay there. And I love the fact that, especially in Kylie Jo and I's relationship, if something goes wrong or awry, or I offend you or hurt your feelings, I expect, because of our friendship and the structure we've set up, that you will say to me, hey, Tiff, you actually hurt my feelings saying that, you know, or you offended me in this way, and I can then correct it. But we spend so much time being disappointed by people and never letting them know that we were disappointed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then we want to take that same impetus into every relationship we have and go, well, I'm not going to give them the chance to disappoint me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or we'll never tell the person, and then we'll carry that disappointment, but act like everything's fine, right? We'll do that like, everything's fine. No, it's no big deal. No, everything's cool. My voice is getting higher. I'm just really upset. But we don't ever actually give you the chance to, like, you don't give the other person the chance to say, like you said, I want to be able to repent. I want to be able to say, I'm so sorry. I want to learn. And I mean, who am I to hold someone else off from growing in that way, to learn, well, this is an area of sensitivity for me, so I just don't like talking about this. Or the way you said that really was harsh, and I just felt like there was a lot. You know, we need to give each other that grace to be offended and to possibly offend, but then ask for forgiveness. And like, these are the ways that we grow in our faith. Like, this is part of sanctification. And so we need to be able to exercise those muscles, so to speak, in the friendship pie.
We don't put muscles in the friendship pie.
No, but when you eat the pie,
if you're putting shellfish in a pie, first off, you need Jesus. But no, that what you just said actually brought up a really good point that I didn't even bring up, but it makes sense. Friendship as a form of sanctification, right? God called us not into isolation when he saved us. He called us into the body. And in order to operate in the body, you have to develop relationships. And Tiffany, what you said about being vulnerable, I love telling people when they get involved with ministry, that ministry is messy because ministry is about relationships, and relationships are messy. And if you don't want to get messy, then you don't want to follow Jesus, because that's what he did. Was he got in the
he
middle,
got messy.
He got in the middle of everyone's mess, and he just loved people. But here's a question: have you experienced friendship forming pivotal points in your sanctification? And so what I mean by that is, if you look back in your walk, have there been moments that you've seen your sanctification grow due to friendships? And if so, what was that situation like?
You're gonna nod to me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was really trying to get. I was like softballing over there. That's actually a hard question. Yes, definitely. I love that you said that it's a part of the sanctification process. I don't know if I've heard it that way before, but I will agree to that. Yes, it is a part of sanctification. Because how do you then get to what, marriage, which a lot of Christians will idolize and make the pinnacle of relationship,
right?
That is sanctification and holiness.
Don't teach us how to.
If you don't do it in friendship, if you don't learn, that's like the practice ground.
Hey,
relationship is relationship.
Yeah, it's relationship. They're all ships. Right. they all got to be pushed out at some point.
That's right. That's good though. That's so good to remember. Relationship is relationship.
It is, and so friendship, even though it's a different context than marriage. One thing that I've learned in my friendships, I remember actually there was a really particular time where I was with a young lady who knew the Lord, loved the Lord, and we had different ways of approaching the faith. Not that there was anything wrong with the way she was doing it, the way I was doing it, but we just saw things differently, just scriptural things that we would say, okay, how is this applied to my life? She would say it was more of a metaphorical or an ethereal thing.
Gotcha.
I was thinking, oh no, spirituality is practical and we have to put it into action. And so we just had a different way of approaching it, but I really felt like they were helpful in the balance. But we came to a point where I had a conversation with her and she was like, this is what I feel like the Lord is telling me to tell you. Or I feel like, and I'm very careful when someone says, the Lord is saying this, I'm always like, ooh, crazy, because the Lord didn't tell me that. Like, so weird. It's weird. So weird.
I talked to him too, and he didn't say anything to me.
He didn't say anything to me like that. But I respected her and admired her. We were in a friendship where it was okay to share things like that. So I was like, all right, cool. I hear you. I have not heard that from the Lord. So I'm going to take some time to pray about it, but I appreciate you for bringing it to me. And she didn't take too kindly to that. And she was like, well, for friends, and I hear from God, then you should accept my version of events.
Oh my.
Oh, no. And I remember thinking in my head, sis, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all wrote the Gospels and they're all different. Yet telling the same story.
That's right.
And so I said, even if I'm a Matthew and you're a John, it doesn't mean that we're any less valid in our objective, but I'm just going to take it in a different way.
Yeah.
And so it definitely stretched me and it challenged me, because I really was like, my first impetus was like, I want to cut this all the way off, because I feel like it was offensive to me. But then I thought about, why does it offend me? Because this person's so close to me. So instead of being offended, I want to understand. And that's what happens when you are close in relationship. You give people grace, because you're not expecting, oh, they want to hurt me. You think this person has best for me. They really do. They're thinking the best for me.
So good.
And I want to give them the opportunity to let that play out. So that was definitely a huge epiphany for me in my own life as far as friendship goes.
That's good. That's good. Well, before we get any deeper,
I was gonna ask if Joe had, because were you nodding back to Joe, or was he not?
Sorry,
that's okay. I was nodding, but I didn't know if he had anything as well.
No, I mean, Tiffany knows friendship. Me and friendships are, it's weird, man. Like, because I might have said I'm more cautious, but like I embrace people quickly.
Yes.
I will embrace you easily. That doesn't mean that we'll go super deep if you're not willing to go deep, but I embrace people easily. So it's difficult, because I've had people that I probably let stay super close that shouldn't have been as close for as long in my life, and she can definitely
he said probably, and I'm like,
she's like, oh yes, it is.
Thank God
not
for
only probable but accurate.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
So it's a delicate balance that I'm finding myself figuring out better now during the pandemic, because the proximity has been eliminated.
Yes.
So you find out where people really stand and where you stand with them.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's important. That's good stuff. So at this point, please, if you are not part of our inner circle, please go join our inner circle, because we're going to continue this conversation, and it's going to be fire. More fire.
I think we need to kind of like touch on, and you won't get to hear this, but we're going to touch on just the things that you were saying, Tiffany, about like just all of that. I mean, really, all of everything you're saying.
We're going to touch on everything that you said.
It's so wrapped up in trust.
Yes.
And
I got the transcript right here.
Wait, go back like 30 seconds. And what was that line?
But before, Tiffany, tell them one more time where they can find you.
Yes.
Yes, please. I'm on YouTube. You can search for Tiffany Bird Harrison. That's B as in boy, YRD as in dog, Harrison. And you can also find me on Instagram at Tiffany Bird Harrison. Same exact place.
And Joe, where can we find you on YouTube?
YouTube is hard. I don't have my own URL.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Instagram, where you at? How can we get a hold of you?
On Instagram at j.etienne. That's ETIENNE.
There it is.
Music. So J period ETIENNE.
It'll be down here. Y'all see.
On IG. Yeah.
This is the hardest part of the podcast.
That's okay.
Saying our names.
Like, how do you spell my middle name? How do I spell it?
I have no idea.
Awesome. Well, God bless you guys. Find us, follow us, and follow Joe and Tiffany. And if you want to hear the rest of the conversation, join our inner circle.
Be blessed.